Now live again. Hopefully. Awesome. Ah, okay.
Hearing us once is enough, you know.
Are non-American ads, like, I'm still caught up on this from like 10 hours ago. Are non-American ads less horrible than
Probably
our
not.
ads? No, okay.
I think New Zealand ads, like there's a distinct kind of ad that New Zealand is really into. It's like, I mean, it's like definitely influenced by the whole like Flight of the Conchords kind of irreverent humor, like Taika Waititi stuff, because heaps of our ads just have that, like they're like that. And I didn't notice it until I started traveling around the world and like, you know, seeing in other countries just these really like dry kind of ads that weren't like, yeah, it's like almost like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but maybe I'll try and find some and drop some in the chat of really good
That
examples
sounds
of
like
New
a good
Zealand ads.
idea.
There's some really great ones. One in particular was actually there's a organization over here called Rainbow Youth that do like, it's like you know, like a charity and kind of support thing for like young kind of, yeah. And they did this amazing ad and this is like a few years back now, where they were trying to stop people from using the word gay as like an insult. And it was
Oh
actually like
man.
super successful. And it was just this ad that was, it's like, it's not gay if it's not gay, it's not gay. And there's a particularly good ad. I wish we could show it on stream because it's like fantastic, but I'm gonna drop it in the
So
stream.
I have a story from that era.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the era of where people said things were like, instead of saying it was stupid, you say that's gay. And I was like in middle school when that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so like I had picked up the vernacular a bit because middle school kids are shit. I was a shitty middle schooler too.
Well, it's just like, it was
But
like
like
back in the day, it was like on South Park every week, and everyone would just compare it with.
I hated South Park and I hate it still, but
Yeah.
it was just a thing people said. And so I just one night, like in bed, I shared a room with one of my sisters, and so I'm just lying in bed, top bunk of the bunk bed, just to give you the picture. And I just
Yeah.
kind of like asked my sister, like, "Hey, if straight people say when something's stupid, they say that's gay, do gay people say that straight?" And she just like laughed for like 5 minutes and said she'd ask her friend.
Yeah, yeah. It's true, like, you know, like, it is pretty funny when you hear people say like, "Oh, that's pretty fucking straight what you're doing right there." You know, it's like, yeah.
Like, I'm like, I
But,
think that should have caught on.
mhm.
That ad had big Letterkenny vibes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but yeah, like, that's a peak New Zealand ad, you know, like, just kind of dry or whatever. But it's really good. And like, yeah, it's, I mean, I don't know if it's like, you know, I think it's just, you know, kind of not just because of that ad, obviously, that people stopped saying that, whatever, but it just kind of showed that, you know, the tides were kind of turning around that time. And yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah.
But great ad. I mean, like, it's still an ad and whatever, but as far as ads go, it's great. Even though it's like basically an ad for a charity, so it's like, yeah.
Better than
I don't know if it's
American ads,
technically
I'm
an ad,
sure.
it's just a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So
like
what do we
serious. Go ahead.
I
Well,
was just
actually,
gonna
now
add.
that
I'm so sorry. Please talk. I'll stop talking.
now that Curio's gone, we can speak about Kingdom Hearts.
I was gonna like, what are we supposed to do now? Can we talk about Kingdom Hearts? I love
No.
Kingdom Hearts.
I'm assuming
I love
direct
Kingdom
control of this chat. I know
I'm a
nothing
good
about
boy.
Kingdom
Look
Hearts.
at my badge.
I guess we can now. Before you dive into that though, I wanted to check to make sure everyone can hear me okay. Now that I've down mixed my mic to mono,
Ooh,
Wow, that's
very
fancy.
funny.
I know,
Fancy.
super fancy.
Nope. Fancy.
Oh,
Got
we
it.
do have some more donations
We're
to
almost
read
at
out.
28,000.
Yeah, very close.
My God.
There was at least one thing of donations that I really, really like one of them a lot.
You can have it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can I
Um,
know what it says. I almost
it's-
definitely.
Wint donated 10 pounds and said, "Hit Daddy Hades harder."
Oh no.
What else we got there? We got Mira
Oh, no.
_ Lotus donated £5 and said, "Not much, but happy to contribute. Love being a part of this community." Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's like you don't need to be kind of bankrupting yourself to contribute. It just anything is awesome.
Yep.
And yeah, and actually, I didn't notice about Wint is that was canonically actually Drill that came
Yes.
in.
Everybody who calls themselves Wint is Drill.
Yeah, Drill is all of us.
Motra X donated £20. Hades Webass actually saying kick his ass for the kids. I assume that's supposed to be saying weeb. I don't know. Web,
Web.
Wet?
wet,
I don't know.
Wednesday, the middle day of the week.
There was also Deletor _ who donated £30, but didn't leave a message. But it's still
Yes.
cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Nice.
Get us to 30 pounds so that way you can hear the greatest Jupiter Ascending review that's ever been written.
But what if
actually
people
remark
don't want to
them?
hear that, and that's why we haven't hit 28k yet?
No, don't say that.
30k. Just saying. We got to keep an open mind here.
I need to believe. Sophie wanted to hear it. It must be good.
All right.
I am actually going to down tune you a little bit. For myself, I mean. Okay, so Kingdom Hearts, the best read of Kingdom Hearts is that it is completely meaningless. But if you delve any amount deeper, then the entire conceit of the world, that the walls are coming down between these distinct ways of living in all the different worlds, and if the walls go away, everything's gonna be bad and everyone's gonna die or whatever. That's fascist shit.
Yeah. I was gonna say. Well, that
Mickey's a total fascist.
Gotta expel
we are-
everybody.
Just to get this
King
clear, we are
Mickey.
talking about Mickey Mouse.
No, we're
Nicholas Mouse.
We are talking
Mickey
about
Mouse.
the Fordist deity, Michael Mouse. No, Mickey Mouse.
You know what's funny is his name is canonically Michael.
Is that really true?
Yeah, or supposedly,
cool.
according to the Kingdom Hearts podcast, that I trust them when they talk about this shit because they know more than I do about it.
Oh no.
It's my trash, and I like it a lot. Hi, hello, Emily.
Here. I was on
Hi.
here 6 hours ago for a minute, and then the stream crashed. So
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It was a bad time.
well,
it kind
It'll
of
go better
my
this
stuck
time.
in the waiting room for a bit since then.
well, now you're here, and I'm screaming about Kingdom Hearts. How are you?
I'm good. I will say, Lots of Lie was waiting with me as well. For about the same time. They just went to bed. She just went to bed. When she's back, definitely get her in for a shift because she was waiting for a while as well.
Can we
Oh,
pause for a second to appreciate how Mickey Mouse sounds like an Italian gangster's nickname?
Ooh, I just got a weird
Hey.
error on the stream. Is it still going?
That was my favorite part of the Irishman
Oh.
meeting.
Oh no, it is. It must be just me.
Tim, you
Alright,
can't do that
so-
to me.
I know. I yeah. Had a little bit of a fright there for a second.
Wow. Is it Halloween?
But that would be
already?
extremely on brand for
It's
It's
Hollow
true.
Bastion coming for you. I just have so many stupid feelings about like do people care if I spoil the end of Kingdom Hearts 3? Should I not say things about the end of Kingdom Hearts 3?
I don't know. What does chat think? Does chat
Yeah, what does Chad
wonder?
think?
I
'Cause
don't want
feel
to
like
take.
it's not going to matter for me, but like, I mean, if there's people in the chat that really want to experience that,
I see somebody
uh,
in chat who should be sleeping.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
too, actually.
No one cares
Can we
at this point. It's
how do we
foolish.
kick
All
them? How do we
spoilers, go
ban them?
for it.
Okay, yeah.
No
So
one
I think you got the
See,
go
I
ahead to
actually would
talk
have
about
said
it.
no, but okay.
Well, basically, so Sora dies like 30 times at the end of the game because this game is nonsense. But one of the times when he dies, it literally goes to like the death screen. Like he's like the when you die in the game death screen, and like he's just floating there, and then when you start to press buttons on the controller, you actually hear Donald and Goofy's voice coming out of the controller calling his name, and I cried because dads love him so much.
That's amazing. I actually love when games kind of I guess trying to break the fourth wall sort of thing, and kind of like like showing you the death screen or whatever like that, but then kind of subverting your expectations. It's I think it's something that
Good.
like you don't see a lot in games these days, but there was one on what was it Eternal Darkness, I think. I'm just trying to find out now.
I
And it was
wouldn't
like
know.
Oh yeah,
a
Eternal
game from
Darkness.
the GameCube. Yeah, and it was like it would do things like throughout the game, like things would happen and it would be like
It would turn up
simulating
your volume.
glitches, like sorry, was that?
One of the things it would do would be turn off your volume.
Oh,
and
yeah.
delete your save.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It would like kind of show the game, deleting your save game. Like you would go to select your game to load it, and it would be like delete save
Doesn't
game.
that happen
Yes.
in like Undertale or something? Doesn't Undertale do
maybe.
something like that?
I
Undertale
wouldn't be
does play around
surprised.
with it.
But yeah, like all these
Oh.
kind of things like that, where it's like at first you're not really sure. It's just it's legitimately glitching or whatever, and then it kind of you learn kind of not
Going
to
to chat
trust the
with Metal
game in
Gear
certain
Solid
ways.
also does similar stuff.
Yeah. But
Like
I think it was in
Mantis and the second one as
yeah
well.
in
Second one,
Eternal Darkness, it was tied to like I think there was like a sanity stat or something like that, which is kind of
Yeah,
weird.
very
But
similar to the Sanity and Amnesia.
yeah. So yeah, it was really good. But really interesting
cool-
way of just adding that little bit of extra kind of unpredictability.
It was very funny when we got the blue screen of death on a GameCube. Very powerful.
Whoa. That sounds
Yeah, there was
intense.
other stuff as well, like
Oh, am I
yeah, like
quiet?
that old Cthulhu game and stuff. A couple of those that
People are saying I'm a bit quiet.
No, I think you're coming through fine. Maybe you were just like speaking softly for a second.
Hello, welcome
Yeah.
to my ASMR stream.
Oh. Whoa. Hello. Would you like to hear me do ASMR Disney Princess?
There is like so much. The mic reacted so strongly to the whispering. It broke up so much. Oh, people are saying Emily's quiet. Okay.
Oh
Huh.
right, okay.
It's funny because I'm just using like a shitty.
Fix that because it's on Sophie's end.
Okay, the last thing that I
Oh.
want to say about Kingdom Hearts
Wait,
is from
what's
a
up?
dono
No,
right
it's
here.
on my end. I'm streaming right now. What do you need fixed?
Oh, you're streaming it. Okay.
Uh,
I think Emily needs to go up, get turned up a tiny little
turn
bit,
up
maybe.
the volume.
I turned her up a little bit. I'll turn her up a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay,
like,
who was gonna say
Are
one
we
last
good?
thing about Kingdom Hearts?
That was me. Hawaiian Juice Box donated $10 or nope, 10 London dollars. That's what the L's for. Kingdom Hearts is bourgeois propaganda to get gamers to buy Disney merch. Change my mind.
Oh.
Probably because I like Disney bullshit. It's unfortunate that I do, but I liked playing in
You're
Mulan
gonna
World.
like a lot of my tweets.
Because that's the thing, right? It's like split up into kind of like biomes that are all themed from different
Like
Disney
honestly,
properties,
a lot
whatever.
of my like hot Kingdom Hearts 3 takes are usually based around how they design levels. Like I think Toy Story shouldn't have been spending so much time fucking around in this Toy Story that's never been in any of the films. I would have liked
Oh,
it if
right.
the entire world was set in Andy's house. Like
Yeah,
just getting to run around Andy's house would have been so fun. Or like
Mhm.
I think I heard there's some Disney bullshit involved, but in the Frozen level, there's this weird ice maze thing that happens, and like I would have just like why not run around Elsa's frozen castle? Like if we're gonna do this. But apparently that one might have had some Disney bullshit involved with like why that happened the way it
Oh
did.
yeah,
Because there was apparently some Disney tampering on like what they could and couldn't do in the game. But like honestly, I think it's really, really sort of charmingly idiotic to just watch a Disney movie where they added in 3 idiots. Just
yeah.
like watching the scene from Frozen and like or not Tangled with like slightly less good animation and 3 dipshits standing at the window going, "Oh, like it's just really charmingly shitty and I love it." And
Charmingly
also
shitty.
the toy store that's in the game is not the same as the toy store that's in Toy Story 2. That is a different store. This is like a very I would assume maybe that there's a cool mall toy
Can't
store
believe I
thing.
have to drive to work all the way on a Sunday.
There's also a huge pastiche to Final Fantasy as a
15, I
like
think.
meta genre.
Yeah,
I'm
Oh,
not.
okay.
yeah, it's so funny. I love it. The part that makes me insane is that the video game inside the video game then ends up mattering at the end. That was the part that made me like tear my hair out. Be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But
I
like
feel like I
I
should
just
acknowledge my favorite comment of the stream so far, which is just 3 dipshits add to a Disney movie is an amazing sentence.
thank you. Thank you. I'm
I would like
glad
to
that
nominate it be the new. I would like to nominate that be the official sequel to Three Men and a Baby.
I'm proud of my art. Let this be my legacy. I just I love those games so much, but they're so stupid. Like the way I have made peace with the last Star Wars movie being shit is that Star Wars now makes Kingdom Hearts sense.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Just there we
shit.
go. Because like Star Wars stopped
Fuck.
making sense. It just
Well, I think
didn't.
it's
I
like
just
it's got a lot to say about like like how Star Wars is kind of like doing this whole thing where they're kind of just going back into the own franchise and kind of like I guess
retconning
milking nostalgia and all that kind of stuff. Where it's
and
like
retconning.
like yeah, retconning and
Yeah,
stuff. But
Which is
like
very much what Kingdom Hearts does. Kingdom Hearts is
yeah,
retconning upon retcons upon retcons. Like
yeah.
it does and then but the problem is that sometimes there will be something that's emotionally affecting and 5 minutes later you get mad at something. That's what Kingdom Hearts is like.
yeah.
So for Star Wars, I have this thing that I like talking about, but there's no place to put it into an essay unless I want to make some really didactic
Mm.
fucking thing that I wouldn't enjoy making and nobody would enjoy watching.
Yeah.
Except for this part, right? And the point that it would be for an essay is like teaching somebody how to read media without learning like any of the like deep critical stuff, right?
Mhm.
And that's what the lightsabers actually mean by color. And like nobody actually thinks about this because like
The color
Luke uses
theory.
yeah, I've never heard of anybody like talking about this, but
Mhm.
the first episode we had red versus blue, right? The guy who's on our team is
Love that show.
uh the blue, the good guy. The guy who's not on our team is red, he's the bad guy. But then Luke has the blue lightsaber that he got or that was his father's lightsaber, and he faces down the evil Darth Vader and finds out that it's his father, that Darth Vader is his father. He loses his hand and the lightsaber, right? And switches at the beginning of episode 6 to a green lightsaber, right? And
Mhm.
like you could just be like, oh yeah, this is the merch shit. Whatever. He just wanted to sell some green lightsabers, whatever. It's fine.
Both can be true.
Both can be true.
Yeah.
Death of the commodity. Wait, no. So we will get there. Big juicy K. So if but what's most important is when Luke switches from blue to green, the last thing that happened when he had that blue lightsaber is he found
He
out that
lost his hand.
Obi-Wan was a liar, right?
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm down for that.
And so what this switch is even more it doesn't show Luke falling toward the dark side. It shows Luke falling toward, I don't want to say a third position, because neither the blue
'Cause
Jedi
that's
or
the
the
thing.
red Sith are
Like, I'm a fan of the concept of gray Jedi.
yeah, right. So and I think that this is really interesting, right? Is like when we and I believe that this is actually what George Lucas is going for, right? Because one of the first things that we see in episode 1 is them telling us who their characters are, right? Qui-Gon Jinn pulls out the green lightsaber because he's cynical and disillusioned. Obi-Wan pulls out the blue one because he's an idealist, right? And and what that now means is that he never loses his idealism, even whatever happens in the next 3 movies.
And to someone's point in the chat, purple represents Samuel Jackson wanting it to be purple.
Yeah.
that is true, but it still factors in, and I love it.
I
So
thought,
All
purple
things can be part of the color
represented-
theory.
Oh, absolutely. I've totally interpreted stuff into a movie that probably did not mean to be there, and I do not care because it's part of my meaning, and that's part of the fun of art.
I had a whole rant about how, like, Maleficent is a better movie than it probably should be because of Angelina Jolie, and I'm not sure even the writers like, just the it's a metaphor for assault. I don't know if anybody else knew that, but Angelina Jolie knew that, and that's how she plays that scene, and it's gut-wrenching, and it makes the whole movie better.
Yeah,
I definitely picked that up when I watched it as well. It's like, I'm not sure if this was the intention of the director, but I feel like this was the intention of the actress. Yeah,
That is what Angelina Jolie is playing. It really makes the whole movie so much. After that scene, you're just like, I don't care what happens. I just want her to be happy. She's my new baby, and I love her. I just like I don't know that movie would be half as affecting if it weren't for some choices that Angelina Jolie made.
So I actually 100% agree with that take. I'm not done with the Star Wars thing. It keeps going.
I had a feeling we cut you off.
Oh, no worries. But no, that, like, I watched that movie in theaters, and I felt like, hey, this was actually a really good
go
movie.
there wearing a monocle and a top hat, if you're going to pronounce it that way.
No, I say theater and garage every time.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Garage.
Yeah, garage.
It's not even the way of pronouncing it otherwise. You just picked a new way. I love it.
Yeah.
It's not garage, it's garage.
This is held up. The distinction between green and blue is held up with Qui-Gon trying to use the Force to persuade Watto, and what he's trying to do is cheat Watto, right? But when we see in episode 4 Obi-Wan using the Force persuade, he's trying to protect his party, right?
Aww.
So it's still, like, even when their methods like cross into similar territory, their ideology and their lines are very different. So green is showing this, like, willingness to do pragmatism while still believing in the Jedi Order and the Jedi, right? So you can infer, even though we never see a main character with a yellow lightsaber, that yellow would be a purely pragmatic approach. And I believe canonically,
like,
in the main film, in the main 9.
Yeah, in the last one.
Oh shit!
Rey has a yellow lightsaber at the end of Rise of Skywalker. I'm not saying this helps because that movie's garbage, but, like, that's.
Oh yeah, so I've been saying this since episode 8 came out.
Okay.
Because episode I love the reading for episode 2 because Big Juicy K said, what's the meaning of that double red lightsaber? And that is that up until now we've only seen one-on-one lightsaber fights, and now we have 2 people with a lightsaber on the same team, and so the person they face off again and has the force of will in his will to power, which is what the red will very clearly represent.
I mean, what this sounds like is you need to make an essay about this, because I think you have enough here for it.
Maybe.
Okay, but what about Yoda?
I just really, Yep.
What about-
may, I,
oh, what?
may I interrupt for a donation?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely,
AR
please.
Pratt donated 15 pounds, and of course we know all that he's been doing. I wrote
Mhm.
this in the chat. I wanted to hear it read out. The Force will be with you in this TED Talk.
Nice.
The Force will be with you. In this TED
In this
Talk,
TED
I
Talk.
will.
There's only one
The
good
Force
TED Talk.
will be with you in
And
this
it's
TED
this-
Talk.
All right, enough with
So
the
we are like
distraction
so
of a
close
charity
to being
stream.
28,000. Yeah. I was just thinking we are so close to 28,000.
Come on, get us to 30. I want to read the best Jupiter Ascending review. Come on,
I
let's do it. Do
do.
it.
I'm so hyped for this.
Please.
We
so-
want to get to 35K.
And
before,
also
before
because I
September.
can't go to sleep until we hit 30. It's only 9 p.m. here, so like it's not late yet for me, but like it will be soon.
No, you just
It's
trapped a
almost
bunch
mid-
of
it is
CIA
almost midnight
students.
for me.
Huh?
I said it's almost midnight for me, so it's almost the end of the first day for me.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
Oh, yeah.
oh, trans rights are human rights, Sora. Somebody put that in the chat.
That's
Somebody
pretty good.
said trans rights are human rights. Michael Mouse
Well,
voice.
yeah, they said the same Michael Mouse.
Michael Mouse.
Michael Mouse.
Michael Mouse voice.
Canonically,
There's
that's
definitely someone out there just
Mickey
called
Mouse's
Michael
name in
Mouse,
Kingdom
right?
Hearts.
Like,
Listen, if you guys want to keep putting things in the chat and ask me to do them in Mickey Mouse voice, I will. I am a slut for attention.
Better yet, put them in a donation message.
oh wow, I just found like an obituary for an actual Michael Mouse.
Put
no,
them
Oh.
in
rest in
donation
peace.
messages. I'll read them out in Mickey Mouse voice. Do it.
Beef Tony
Do
also
it.
says Kiadi Mundi's yellow lightsaber signals that he's the only Jedi who fucks.
Okay, but yeah, what about Yoda's green lightsaber?
Yeah,
I mean, Yoda's pretty
explain to me
pragmatic.
in any way that Yoda
his
doesn't
dick.
fall into this.
It's
Like
his
he's
dick,
literally
it's his dick.
Yoda's so
That long
pragmatic. Like, if we're
dick.
talking about like people with gray morality, Yoda is very that.
yeah, exactly.
Which is why
To
he
me
used
that
the
like fits
lightsaber
in
that's
perfectly.
the same color as his dick.
So the big one that I want to do is like when the war kicks off for real and the fight in the Colosseum where you can't really tell who's who, and Samuel L. Jackson's like, I want a purple lightsaber or whatever. Like realistically, there's a message there very clearly that like the war doesn't give a shit what color your lightsaber is. War is this like completely impersonal thing where whether you live or die is just completely pulled out like from there, right?
And your morality doesn't matter. Is that what you're
Ex-
saying?
That's such a huge part of war. Like think about all of the like having
No,
been a
I'm
troop
vibing with you.
myself.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to. That was how I was interpreting your thing, and I wanted to make sure I was on your level.
We just got another donation from Samwise, £10, saying 30K. Here we go. And that is the correct attitude at the moment. We're so close to 30K.
Hey, here we
So-
go.
so
Here we go.
close.
Raise the money for the trans kids. Do it.
So digging too deeply into it, like the fact of the Big Juicy Chaos, if I can't
Yellow voice.
Dooku's weird curved lightsaber, it clearly
Dookus.
like
You need to
Yoda's
say Count
like Yoda-
Dookus.
Count Dooku, Count Dooku, like
Count Dookus.
Count Dooku. Come on, Dooku.
His name
Anyway,
is
yes,
Count
just
Dookus
like
now.
Yoda, just like Yoda, that represents his dick.
Okay, what about the dark
I-
saber?
I feel like we have a new Mikey
Yeah.
Mouse quote.
Darksaber's not in the
for
film.
Julie.
Dark
Wait,
Saber's
oh,
not
do
right.
we
And
do
what
we have
about
enough?
the
It's in the
General
chat.
Grievous
It's,
has two lightsabers, the
yellow
blue
one.
one
General
and a green
Grievous
one.
has many lightsabers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's in
yeah.
the films.
Do you see it, Lady
The
Night?
yellow
Your response?
Saber represents his pits.
Yeah.
I want to get through the ones that I definitely have down first.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
the Jedi exist as an order to protect the Republic largely. There's the space cops.
Mhm.
And so when the order votes to basically let Senator Palpatine be the emperor, technically it is the job of the Jedi Order to support that, but because he's Sith, they know, the Emperor knows that the Jedi won't stand for it, and that's why Order 66 is on the table. And so when Samuel L. Jackson comes to do a coup, like, yeah, we know that the Empire sucks shit, like, from knowing the future, but like he's still doing a coup the same way that the emperor just like organized his rise to power, right? And so his split between being an idealist blue side Jedi, because that's why he's doing the coup, and his absolute willingness to do whatever he can to maintain his or increase his power, it's all there, right? And what I love the most about this like whole reign, like chain, is when we get to the fight where Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting. Obi-Wan still has the blue, or Anakin still has the blue lightsaber. He hasn't switched to red yet, right? So he still believes that he's following this true Jedi path.
Oh.
And he's been that blinded by it, by the Sith shit. And it's so good. Episode 7 is just a retread of episode 4. Nothing interesting to find there. Episode 8, the only new color theory thing there that I just absolutely love is the fact that in episode 4, Luke is drinking the blue milk and he is an idealist who wants to join the rebellion. In episode 8, he is drinking the green milk and he's this absolute cynic fucking dick shit.
That green milk.
This color.
Yeah, just
You
straight
need to
from the
make a
kitty.
video about this. You need to make a video about this. This is very good.
This is the best audience to be talking about this to, because immediately once you started talking about this, like everyone in the chat was like, "I'd watch a video essay of this. I'd totally watch a video essay."
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
Like,
I
we're
would watch a
talking
video
about-
essay of this. I am very here for these takes. It's very neat. I like it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I just think it's very funny because if I talk to anyone on the street and I said, "Want to hear the color theory of a lightsaber?" most people wouldn't be down for it. But this
No.
crowd is so down for it, and I love it. It is
I feel like
so
approaching random
fun.
people in the street and explaining your niche interests to them
Do you-
may not be
Well,
a
yeah, no,
great
that's generally a bad move.
way to
Dude,
find a
if you want
captive
to
audience.
talk about like niche
I feel like
things,
their first reaction would actually be, "Who are you and why are you talking to me?"
No, I just played Gris. How do we say Gris again? Say somebody
I don't know.
pronounced
Oh, everyone says
Grease.
it differently every time I hear it. Sometimes
Gree?
it's Gris, sometimes
Gree.
it's Grease. Yeah, Grease.
Gree? Gray. Can I
Ambergris?
just call it Gray because it's French for gray apparently or something?
Yeah, that's correct.
Anyway, so like I just played it for the first time like this week, but like I am so upset, and I want to make a video about it, but I don't know if I will because it will be like the shortest video I've made in like a year if I do. But like I am so obsessed with how benevolent the gameplay feels. Like just the fact that like the gameplay teaches you to like take care of this little friend and then he will take care of you, or like I mean, it's so silly, but you know, because some certain areas the way you're jumping through the platformer stuff is timed, there are times where you are literally jumping into nothing and you have to expect that the platform will
Oh,
appear to
right,
catch
yeah.
you, like fucking trust falls. Like
Mm.
it's just and the fact that you can like the game never like if you fall at any point, you can climb back up to wherever you were. Nothing is unfixable in this game. You literally can't die, but like just if you fall, you can always climb back up to where you were and get back to what you were doing, and just like it's so sweet. The game feels so nice. It's the
That,
nicest game I've
does
ever
sound
played.
Very nice. But I just want to interrupt just to say what is also very nice is that Jim just donated £7.62 with the comment 28, which brings us up to £28,000.
Exactly. 28.
Thank
Exactly,
you.
bang on.
Thank
Just wanted
you.
to point that out while we're bang on
2,000
exact
pounds away from our
28,000.
next goal.
Yeah.
Oh wow, nice.
At some point in the future, Andrew is going to pop in to read Soph to sleep because
Oh,
Sophie
nice. We should
cannot.
do that now. I feel like that would be a good time to do it now because we need
We're
Soph
just
to get
shooting
some
the
sleep.
shit right now.
Yeah.
Let's
get our
sleepy voices on.
How is
Not
that?
me. I'm
Oh,
not
you
chill.
sound a little bit quiet to me. Is that just
Yeah,
me? Or?
it's quiet.
You-
Yeah.
You are a bit
Okay.
I'm gonna just jump out for a couple minutes. Just gonna mute myself. So
gonna get my final meal of the day.
Nice. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty okay.
Nice.
I'm good. My
It's-
mind is kind of blown right now by the Star Wars theory. It's got
Yeah,
some merit.
right? It was so good.
It's got
It's
some
so
merit,
good.
but it doesn't factor in the Clone Wars TV show, so I don't know how much I can really trust it.
That is a
Emily,
point.
do you have some like built-in stuff about the TV show, or does that branch off?
That was
I don't-
actually me, Andy.
Wait,
But
Oh shit! I'm looking at the stream, not who's talking in Discord.
yeah, oh yeah, that would be hard to tell. 'Cause
I know.
the-
I was gonna say I don't know anything about Star Wars. I've seen the
Uh,
movies. I don't know.
Shit! I
anything
thought
about
it
the
was
theory
Emily.
behind it.
Oh god.
the
I know things.
so the yellow lightsaber thing is still only like basically only kind of tells you how the those 8 movies act, and does not generally extend out to
Right.
any of the extended universe. It's a close reading of the first 8 films. The
I
ninth
wasn't
film
being
doesn't.
super serious on that. I think I think we
I
should move on to Andrew reading
Oh
the
yeah,
story.
absolutely. Yes.
No worries. So very, very quickly, thank you all so much for everything.
It's been
For
amazing.
all the amazing guests, for the mod team, for of course to Soph and Nat, to everybody in chat who's been here for support, who's donated, who's tweeted out. We are sitting at £28,000 at the end of day one. This is incredible, and it means the world to literally so many people. Please continue to donate as you can. To send any tweets out about the stream, especially the night crew. Keep things going through here. We want to hit those next targets. Hello as well. You may have seen me typing more in chat. You may have heard me periodically throughout the day. My name's Andrew. I'm known as Arcrat on Twitch and Twitter. I'm a theatrical streamer who specializes in education, storytelling, and self-care. And I'm a professional voice actor and actor, and have periodically read a couple of stories throughout the day. Soph has a particular story they love from The Witcher, and we've had it in mind as something to read at some point during the run of the stream. And there was talk about where to fit it in and various things, and I think with everything that's happening and everything that's happened tonight, a nice calming read to help Soph sleep might be ideal. So this is a beautiful story from one of the short story collections from The Witcher, specifically the book called Sword of Destiny. I'm not the best at pronouncing the author's name, so I'm not going to try. But if you look up The Witcher books and the author's Sword of Destiny, you'll find it. Thank you very much, Big Juicy K, for the donation of £10. Dexter Jester discuss. That can be done after this, certainly. So, I'm going to read to you The Eternal Flame. You pig! You plague-stricken warbler! You trickster! Geralt, his interest piqued, led his mare around the corner of the alleyway. Before he located the source of the screams, a deep, stickly, glassy clink joined them. A large jar of cherry preserve, thought the Witcher. A jar of cherry preserve makes that noise when you throw it at somebody from a great height or with great force. He remembered it well. When he lived with Yennefer, she would occasionally throw jars of preserve at him in anger. Jars she had received from clients. Yennefer had no idea how to make preserve. Her magic was fallible in that respect. A large group of onlookers had formed around the corner, outside a narrow, pink-painted cottage. A woman, a young, fair-haired woman in a nightdress was standing on a tiny balcony decorated with flowers, just beneath the steep eaves of the roof. Bending a plump, fleshy arm visible beneath the frills of her nightdress, the woman hurled down a chipped flower pot. A slim man in a plump, A plum bonnet with a white feather jumped aside like a scolded cat, and the flower pot crashed onto the ground just in front of him, shattering into pieces. "Please, Vespula!" the man in the bonnet shouted. "Don't lend credence to the gossip. I was faithful to you. May I perish if it's not true." "You bastard! You son of the devil! You wretch!" the plump blonde yelled and went back into the house, no doubt in search of further missiles. "Hey, Dandelion," called the Witcher. Sorry. "Hey, Dandelion," called the Witcher, leading his resisting and snorting mare onto the battlefield. "How are you? What's going on?" "Oh, nothing special," said the troubadour, grinning. "The usual. Greetings, Geralt. What are you doing here? Oh, bloody hell, look out!" A tin cup whistled through the air and bounced off the cobbles with a clang. Dandelion picked it up, looked at it, and threw it in the gutter. "Take those rags!" the blonde woman screamed, the thrills of her plump breasts swaying gracefully. "And get out of my sight! Don't set foot here again, you bastard!" "Oh, these aren't mine!" Dandelion said in astonishment, taking a pair of men's trousers with odd-coloured legs from the ground. "I've never had trousers like these in my life." "Get out! I don't want to see you anymore! You! Do you know what you're like in bed? Pathetic. Pathetic, do you hear? Do you hear, everybody?" Another flower pot whistled down, a dried stalk that had grown out of it flapping. Dandelion barely dodged out of the way. Following the flower pot, a copper cauldron of at least 2.5 gallons came spinning down. The crowd of onlookers standing a safe distance away from the cannonade reeled with laughter. The more active and unprincipled jokers among them applauded and incited the blonde to further action. "She doesn't have a crossbow in the house, does she?" the Witcher asked anxiously. "They can't be ruled out," said the poet, lifting his head up towards the balcony. "She has a load of junk in there. Did you see those trousers?" "Perhaps we ought to get out of here. You can come back when she calms down." "Hell no!" Dandelion grimaced. "I shall never go back to a house from which calumny and copper pots are showered on me. I consider this fickle relationship over. Let's just wait till she throws my... Oh, mother, no! Vespula, my loot!" He lunged forward, arms outstretched, stumbled, fell, and caught the instrument at the last moment, just above the cobbles. The lute spoke plaintively and melodiously. "Ah, sighed the bard, springing up. "I've got it. It's fine, Geralt. We can go now. Admittedly, my cloak with the marten collar is still there, but too bad, let it be my grievance. Knowing her, she won't throw the cloak down." "You lying sloven!" the blonde screamed and spat copiously from the balcony. "You vagrant! You croaking pheasant!" "What's the matter with her?" Oh, sorry. It's Geralt.
"What's the matter with her? What have you been up to, Dandelion?"
"Nothing unusual," the troubadour shrugged. "She demands monogamy, like they all do, and then throws another man's trousers at a fellow. Oh, did you hear what she was screaming about me? By the gods, I also know some women who decline their favours more prettily than she gives hers. But I don't shout about it from the rooftops. Let's go."
"Where do you suggest we go?"
"Are you simple? Are you serious? The Temple of the Eternal Fire. Let's drop into this spear blade. I have to calm my nerves." Without protest, the Witcher led his mare after Dandelion, who had headed off briskly into a narrow lane. The troubadour tightened the pegs of his lute as he strode, strummed the strings to test them, and played a deep, resounding chord. "The air bears autumn's cool scent, our words seized by an icy gust. Your tears have my heart rent, but all is gone and part we must." He broke off, waving cheerfully at two maids who were passing, carrying baskets of vegetables. The girls giggled. What brings you to Novigrad, Geralt?
Fitting out. A harness, some tackle, and a new jacket.
The Witcher pulled down the creaking, fresh-smelling leather.
How do you like it, Dandelion?
Oh, you don't keep up with the fashion, the bard grimaced, brushing a chicken feather from his gleaming cornflower blue caftan with puffed sleeves and a serrated collar. Oh, I'm glad we've met. Here in Novigrad, the capital of the world, the centre and cradle of culture. Here, a cultured man, a cultivated man, can live life to the full.
Let's live it one lane further on,
Suggested Geralt, glancing at a tramp who had squatted down and was defecating, eyes bulging in an alleyway. Your constant sarcasm is becoming annoying, Dandelion said, grimacing again. Novigrad, I tell you, is the capital of the world. Almost 30,000 dwellers, Geralt, not counting travellers. Just imagine. Brick houses, cobbled main streets, a seaport, stores, shops, 4 watermills, slaughterhouses, sawmills, a large manufactory making beautiful slippers, and even every conceivable grade, guild, and trade. A mint, 8 banks, and 19 pawnbrokers. A castle and guardhouse to take the breath away. And diversions. A scaffold, a gallows, and a drop. 35 taverns, a theatre, a menagerie, a market, and a dozen whorehouses. And I can't remember how many temples, but plenty. Oh, and the women, Geralt. Bathed, coiffured, fragrant. Those satins, velvets, and silks, those whalebones and ribbons. Oh, Geralt, the rhymes pour out by themselves. Around your house, now white from frost, sparkles ice on the pond and marsh. Your longing eyes grieve what is lost, but naught can change this parting harsh.
a new ballad.
Aye, I'll call it Winter. But it's not ready yet. I can't finish it. Vespula's made me completely jittery and the rhymes won't come together. Oh, Geralt, I forgot to ask. How is it with you and Yennefer?
It isn't.
I understand.
No, you bloody don't. Is it far to this tavern?
Just round the corner. Oh, here we are. Oh, can you see the sign?
Yes, I can.
My sincere and humble greetings. Dandelion flashed a smile at the wench sweeping the steps. Has anyone ever told you, my lady, that you are gorgeous? The wench flushed and gripped her broom tightly. For a moment, Geralt thought she would whack the troubadour with the handle. He was mistaken. The wench smiled engagingly and fluttered her eyelashes. Dandelion, as usual, paid absolutely no attention. Greetings to one and all. Good day, he bellowed, entering the tavern and plucking the lute strings hard with his thumb. Master Dandelion, the most renowned poet in this land, has visited your tawdry establishment, landlord, for he has a will to drink beer. Do you mark the honour I do you, swindler? I do, said the innkeeper morosely, leaning forward over the bar. I'm content to see you, minstrel, sir. I see that your word is indeed your bond. After all, you promised to stop by first thing to pay for yesterday's exploits. And I, just imagine, presumed you were lying as usual. I swear I am ashamed. There is no need to feel shame, my good man, the troubadour said light-heartedly, for I have no money. We shall converse about that later. No, the innkeeper said coldly. We shall converse about it right away. Your credit has finished, my lord poet. No one befools me twice in a row. Dandelion hung up his lute on a hook protruding from the wall, sat down at a table, took off his bonnet, and pensively stroked the egret feathers pinned to it. Do you have any funds, Geralt? He asked with hope in his voice.
No, I don't. Everything I had went on the jacket.
That is ill, that is ill. Dandelion sighed. There's not a bloody soul to stand around. Innkeeper, why is it so empty here today? It's too early for ordinary drinkers, and the journeyman masons who are repairing the temple have already been and returned to the scaffolding, taking their master with them. And there's no one at all. No one aside from the Honourable Merchant Beavervelt, who is breaking his fast in the large snug. Dainty's here, Dandelion said, please. You should have said it once. Come to the snug, Geralt. Do you know the halfling, Dainty Beavervelt?
No.
Oh, never mind, you can make his acquaintance. Ah, the troubadour called, heading towards the snug. I smell from the east a whiff and hint of onion soup, please into my nostrils. Peekaboo, it's us! Surprise! A chubby-cheeked, curly-haired halfling in a pistachio-green waistcoat was sitting at the table in the centre of the chamber, beside a post decorated with garlands of garlic and bunches of herbs. In his left hand he held a wooden spoon, and in his right an earthenware bowl. At the sight of Dandelion and Geralt, the halfling froze and opened his mouth, and his large nut-brown eyes widened in fear. What cheer, Dainty? Dandelion said, blithely waving his bonnet. The halfling did not move or close his mouth. His hand, Geralt noticed, was trembling a little, and the long strips of boiled onion hanging from the spoon were swinging like a pendulum. Greetings. Greetings, Dandelion, he stammered and swallowed loudly. Do you have the hiccups? Would you like me to frighten you? Oh, look out, your wife's been seen on the turnpike. Soon she'll be there. Gardenia Bilbervet and Pilsen. Ha 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 ha! You really are an ass, Dandelion, the halfling said reproachfully. Dandelion laughed brightly again, simultaneously playing two complicated chords on his lute. Well, you have an exceptionally stupid expression on your face, and you're goggling at us as though we had horns and tails. Perhaps you're afraid of the Witcher. What? Perhaps you think halfling season has begun? Perhaps... Stop it! Geralt snapped, unable to stay quiet, and walked over to the table.
Forgive us, friend. Dandelion has experienced a serious personal tragedy, and he still hasn't got over it. He's trying to mask his sorrow, dejection, and disgrace by being witty.
Don't tell me, the halfling said, finally slurping up the contents of the spoon. Let me guess. Vespula has finally thrown you out on your ear. What, Dandelion? I don't engage in conversations on sensitive subjects with individuals who drink and gorge themselves with their friends stand, the troubadour said, and then sat down without waiting. The halfling scooped up a spoon of soup and licked off the threads of cheese hanging from it. Right you are, he said glumly. So be my guests. Sit you down and help yourselves. Would you like some onion pottage? In principle, I don't dine at such an early hour, Dandelion said, putting on airs. But very well. Just not on an empty stomach. I'll say, landlord, beer if you please, and swiftly. Alas, with an impressive thick plate reaching her hips, brought them mugs and bowls of soup. Geralt, observing her round, downy face, thought that she would have a pretty mouth if she remembered to keep it closed. Forest Dryad, Dandelion cried, seizing the girl's arm and kissing her on her open palm. Sylph, fairy, oh divine creature with eyes like azure lakes, thou art as exquisite as the morn, and the shape of thy parted lips are enticingly. Give him some beer, quick, Dainty groaned, or it'll end in disaster. No, it won't. No, it won't, the bard assured him. Right, Geralt? You'd be hard-pressed to find more composed men than we two. I, dear sir, am a poet and a musician, with music soothes the savage breast. And the Witcher here, present, is menacing only to monsters. I present Geralt of Rivia, the terror of Strigus, werewolves, and sundry vileness. You've surely heard of Geralt, Dainty? Yes, I have, the halfling said, glowering suspiciously at the Witcher. What? What brings you to Novigrad, sir? Have some dreadful monsters been sighted here? Have you been, um, commissioned?
No, smiled the Witcher. I'm here for my own amusement.
Oh, Dainty said, nervously wriggling his hirsute feet, which were dangling half a cubit above the ground. That's good. What's good? Dandelion asked, swallowing a spoonful of soup and sipping some beer. Do you plan to support us, Beaverville? In our amusements, I mean. Excellent. We intended to get tipsy here in the Spearblade, and then we planned to repair to the Passivlora. Very dear and high-class den of iniquity. Or we may treat ourselves to a half-blood she-elf, and who knows, maybe even a pure-blood she-elf. Nonetheless, we need a sponsor. What do you mean? Someone to pay the bills, as I thought, Dainty muttered under their breath. I'm sorry. Firstly, I've arranged several business meetings. Secondly, I don't have the funds to sponsor such diversions. Thirdly, they only admit humans to Passivlora. Huh. What are we then? Short-eared owls? Oh. Oh, I understand. They don't admit halflings. Oh, that's true. You're right, Dainty. This is Novigrad, capital of the world. Right then, the halfling said, still looking at the Witcher and twisting his mouth strangely. I'll be off. I'm due to be. The door to the chamber opened with a bang, and in rushed Dainty Beaverveld. Oh, ye gods! Dandelion yelled. The halfling standing in the doorway in no way differed from the halfling sitting at the table, if one were to disregard the fact that the one at the table was clean, and the one in the doorway was dirty, dishevelled, and haggard. Got you, you bitch's tail! The dirty halfling roared, lunging at the table. You thief! His clean twin leaped to his feet, overturning his stool and knocking the dishes from the table. Geralt reacted instinctively and very quickly. Seizing his scabbarded sword from the table, he lashed Beaverveld on the nape of his neck with the heavy belt. The halfling tumbled onto the floor, rolled over, dived between Dandelion's legs, and scrambled towards the door on all fours, his arms and legs suddenly lengthening like a spider's. Seeing this, the dirty Dainty Beaverveld swore, howled, and jumped out of the way, slamming his back into the wooden wall. Geralt threw aside the scabbard and kicked the stool out of the way, darting after him. The clean Dainty Beaverveld, now utterly dissimilar apart from the colour of his waistcoat, cleared the threshold like a grasshopper and hurtled into the common bar, colliding with the lass with the half-open mouth. Ah! Seeing his long limbs and melted grotesque physiognomy, the lass opened her mouth to its full extent and uttered an ear-splitting scream. Geralt, taking advantage of the loss of momentum caused by the collision, caught up with the creature in the centre of the chamber and knocked it to the ground with a deft kick behind the knee.
Don't move a muscle, chum,
he hissed through clenched teeth, holding the point of his sword to the oddity's throat.
Don't budge.
What's going on here? The innkeeper yelled, running over, clutching a spade handle. What's this all about? Guard! Dechka, run and get the guard. No! The creature wailed, flattening itself against the floor and deforming itself even more. Have mercy! No! Don't call them. No, sorry. Don't call them, the dirty halfling echoed, rushing out of the snug. Grab that girl, Dandelion! The troubadour caught the screaming Dechka carefully, choosing the places to seize her by. Dechka squealed and crouched on the floor by his legs. Calm down, innkeeper, Dainty Beaverveld panted. It's a private matter. We won't call out the guard. I'll pay for any damage. There isn't any damage, the innkeeper said, becoming level-headed, looking around. But there will be, the plump halfling said, gnashing his teeth, because I'm going to thrash him. And properly. I'm going to thrash him cruelly, at length, and frenziedly. And then everything here will be broken. The long-limbed and spread-out caricature of Dainty Beaverveld flattened on the floor and snivelled pathetically. Nothing doing, the innkeeper said coldly, squinting and raising the spade handle a little. Thrash it in the street or in the yard, sir, not here. And I'm calling the guard. Needs must. It is my duty. Forsooth, it's some kind of monster.
Innkeeper, sir,
Geralt said calmly, not relieving the pressure on the freak's neck.
keep your head. No one is going to destroy anything. There won't be any damage. The situation is under control. I'm a witcher, and as you can see, I have the monster in my grasp. And because, indeed, it does look like a private matter, we'll calmly sort it out here in the snug. Release the girl, Dandelion, and come here. I have a silver chain in my bag. Take it out and tie the arms of this gentleman securely around the elbows behind his back. Don't move, chum.
The creature whimpered softly. Very well, Geralt, Dandelion said. I've tied it up. Let's go to the snug. And you, landlord, what are you standing there for? I ordered beer. And when I order beer, you're to keep serving me until I shout. Geralt pushed the tied-up creature towards the snug and roughly sat him down by the post. Dainty Beaverveld also sat down and looked at him in disgust. It's monstrous, the way it looks, he said. Just like a pile of fermenting dough. Look at its nose, Dandelion. It'll fall off any second, God blimey. And its ears are like my mother-in-law's just before her funeral. Blech. Old, Dandelion muttered. Are you Beaverveld? Yes, you are, without doubt. But whoever's sitting by that post was you a moment ago. If I'm not mistaken, Geralt, everybody's watching you. You're a witcher. What the bloody hell is going on? What is it?
It's a mimic.
You're a mimic yourself, the creature said in a guttural voice, swinging its nose. I am not a mimic. I am a Doppler. And my name is Teleco Lungravink Letort. Penstock for short. My close friends call me Doodoo. I'll call you Doodoo, you whoreson, Dainty yelled, aiming a punch at him. Where are my horses, you thief? Gentlemen, the innkeeper cautioned them, entering with a jug and a handful of beer mugs. You promised things would be peaceful. Oh, beer, the halfling sighed. Oh, but I'm damn thirsty and hungry. I could do with a drink too, Telego Longravik Letort declared grungingly, gurglingly. He was totally ignored. What is it? The innkeeper asked, contemplating the creature, who at the sight of the beer stuck its long tongue out beyond sagging, doughy lips. What is it, gentlemen?
A mimic.
The witcher repeated, heedless of the faces the monster was making.
It actually has many names. A changeling, Shapeshifter, Vexling or Fetch, or a Doppler, as it called itself.
A Vexlan, the innkeeper yelled. Here in Novigrad, in my inn. Swiftly we must call the guard and the priests, or it will be beyond my head. Easy does it, Dainty Beaverveld rasped, hurriedly, finishing off dandelion soup from a bowl, by which some miracle had not been spilled. There'll be time to call anyone we need, but later. This scoundrel robbed me, and I have no intention of handing it over to the local law before recovering my property. I know you Novigradians and your judges. I might get a tenth, nothing more. Have mercy, the Doppler whimpered plaintively. Don't hand me over to humans. Do you know what they do to the likes of me? Naturally we do, the innkeeper nodded. The priests perform exorcisms on any Vexling they catch. Then they tie it up with a stick between its knees and cover it thickly with clay mixed with iron fillings, roll it into a ball and bake it in a fire until the clay hardens into brick. At least that's what used to be done years ago, when these monsters occurred more often. A barbaric custom. Human. Then he said, grimacing and pushing the now empty bowl away. But perhaps it is a just penalty for banditry and thievery. Well, talk, you good for nothing. Where are my horses? Quickly, before I stretch that nose of yours between your legs and shove it up your backside. Where are my horses, I said? I've sold them. Telego Longrevink Latort stammered, and his sagging ears suddenly curled up into balls resembling tiny cauliflowers. Sold them? Did you hear that? The halfling cried, frothing at the mouth. It sold my horses. Of course, Dandelion said. It had time to. It's been there for 3 days. For the last 3 days, it's... Damn it, Dainty, does that mean... Of course that's what it means, the merchant yelled, stamping his hairy feet. It robbed me on the road. A day's ride from the city. It came here as me. Get it? I'm going to stop for a second. Is there an ad playing? No worries at all. No problem at all. This is a good time to acknowledge the raiders who came in. Hello, Squid Punk. Hello, Lottie. Hello, people in chat. I'm reading through The Witcher, and I will carry on the story just now. And please use command donate to carry on donating. Thank you all to everybody who has donated so far to the total. Of course that's what it means, the merchant yelled, stamping his hairy feet. It robbed me on the road, a day's ride from the city. It came here as me, get it? And sold my horses. I'll kill it. I'll strangle it with my bare hands. Tell us how it happened, Mr. Beaverveld. Geralt of Riviera. Geralt of Riviera, if I'm not mistaken. The Witcher? Geralt nodded in reply. That's a stroke of luck, the halfling said. I'm Dainty Beaverveld of Knotgrass Meadow. Farmer, stock breeder, and merchant. Call me Dainty, Geralt. Say on, Dainty. Very well. It was like this. Me and my ostlers were driving my horses to be sold at the market in Devil's Ford. We had our last stop a day's ride from the city. We overnighted, having first dealt with a small cask of burnt caramel vodka. I woke up in the middle of the night feeling like my bladder was about to burst, got off the wagon, and I thought to myself I'll take a look at what the nags are doing in the meadow. I walk out, fog thick as buggery. I look and suddenly someone's coming. Who goes there? I ask. He says nothing. I walk up closer and see myself, like in a looking glass. I think I oughtn't have drunk that bloody moonshine, accursed spirit. And this one here, for what it's worth, up and conks me on the noggin. I saw stars and went arse over tit. The next day, I woke up in a bloody thicket with a lump like a cucumber on my head and not a soul in sight, not a sign of our camp either. I wandered the whole day before I finally found the trail. 2 days I trudged, eating roots and raw mushrooms. And in the meantime, that lousy Dudalico, or whatever it was, has ridden to Novigrad as me and flogged my horses. I'll get that bloody... and I'll thrash my hostlers. I'll give each one 100 lashes on his bare ass, the cretins. Not to recognise their own governor, to let themselves be outwitted like that. Numbskulls, imbeciles, sots.
Don't be too hard on them, Dainty,
Geralt said.
They didn't have a chance. A mimic copy so exactly there's no way of distinguishing it from the original. I mean, from its chosen victim. Have you never heard of mimics?
Some. But I thought it was all fiction.
Well, it isn't. All the Doppler has to do is observe its victims closely in order to quickly and unerringly adapt to the necessary material structure. I would point out that it's not an illusion, but a complete, precise transformation to the minutest detail. How a mimic does it, no one knows. Sorcerers suspect the same component of the blood is at work here as with lycanthropy. But I think it's either something totally different or 1,000-fold more powerful. After all, a werewolf has only 2, at most 3 different forms, while a Doppler can transform into anything it wants to, as long as the body mass more or less tallies.
Body mass?
Well, he won't turn into a mastodon or a mouse.
Oh, I understand. The chain you've bound him up in, what's that about?
It's silver. It's lethal to a lycanthrope, but as you see, for a mimic, it merely stops the transmutations. That's why it's sitting here in its own form.
The Doppler pursed its gluttonous lips and glowered at the Witcher with an evil expression in its dull eyes, which had already lost the hazel colour of the halfling's irises and were now yellow. I'm glad it's sitting, cheeky bastard, Dainty snarled. Just to think it's even stopped here at the blade where I customarily lodge. It already thinks it's me. Dandelion nodded. Dainty, he said, it was you. I've been meeting it here for 3 days now. It looked like you and spoke like you. And when it came to standing around, it was as tight as you. Possibly even tighter. That last point doesn't worry me, the halfling said, because perhaps I'll recover some of my money. It disgusts me to touch it. Take the purse off it, Dandelion, and check what's inside. There ought to be plenty, if that horse thief really did sell my nags. How many nags did you have, Dainty? 12. This one. Just carry the one. Calculating according to world prices, the troubadour said, looking into the purse. What's here would just about buy a single horse, if you chanced upon an old founded one. Calculating according to Novigradian prices, there's enough for 2 goats, 3 at most. The merchant said nothing, but looked as though he were about to cry. Telego Lungravink Latort hung his nose down low, and his lower lip even lower, after which he began to softly gurgle. In a word, the halfling finally sighed, I've been robbed and ruined by a creature whose existence I previously didn't believe in. That's what you call bad luck?
That about sums it up,
the Witcher said, casting a glance at the Doppler huddled on the stool.
I was also convinced that mimics had been wiped out long ago. In the past, so I've heard, plenty of them used to live in the nearby forests and on the plateau. but their ability to mimic seriously worried the first settlers, and they began to hunt them quite effectively. Almost all of them were quickly exterminated.
And lucky for us, the innkeeper said, spitting onto the floor. I swear on the eternal fire, I prefer a dragon or a demon, which is always a dragon or a demon. You know where you are with them. But werewolfery, all those transmutations and metamorphoses, that hideous demonic practice, trickery, and the treacherous deceit conjured up by those hideous creatures, will be the detriment and undoing of people. I tell you, let's call the garden into the fire with this repugnance. Geralt, Dandelion asked curiously. I'll be glad to hear an expert's opinion. Are these mimics really so dangerous and aggressive?
Their ability to mimic, the Witcher said, is an attribute which serves as defense rather than aggression. I haven't heard of
A pox on it! Dainty interrupted angrily, slamming his fist down on the table. If thumping a fellow's in the head and plundering him isn't aggression, I don't know what is. Stop being clever. The matter is simple. I was waylaid and robbed, not just of my hard-earned property, but also of my own form. I demand compensation, and I shall not rest. The guard. We must call the guard, the innkeeper said, and we should summon the priests and burn that monster, that non-human. Give over, landlord, the halfling said, raising his head. You've become a bore with that guard of yours. I would like to point out that the non-human hasn't harmed anybody else, only me. And incidentally, I'm also a non-human. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Beavervelt, the innkeeper laughed nervously. What are you and what is that? You're not far off being a man, and that's a monster. It astonishes me that you're sitting there so calmly, Witcher, sir. It's your trade, if you'll pardon me. It's your job to kill monsters, isn't it?
monsters, Geralt said coldly, but not the members of intelligent races.
Come, sir, the innkeeper said. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Indeed, Dandelion cut in. You've overstepped the mark, Geralt, with that intelligent race. Just take a look at it. Telego Lungravink Letort, indeed, did not resemble a member of an intelligent race at that moment. He resembled a puppet made of mud and flour, looking at the Witcher with a beseeching look in his dull yellow eyes. Neither were the snuffling sounds being emitted from its nose, which now reached the table, consistent with a member of an intelligent race. Enough of this empty bullshit, Dainty Beavervelt suddenly roared. There's nothing to argue about. The only thing that counts is my horses and my loss. Do you hear, you bloody slippery jack, you? What did you sell my nags to? Who did you sell them to? What did you do with the money? Tell me now before I kick you black and blue and flay you alive. Detchka, opening the door slightly, stuck her flaxen-haired head into the chamber. We have visitors, Father, she whispered. Journeymen masons from the scaffolding and others. I'm serving them, but don't shout so loudly in here because they're beginning to look funny at the snug. By the eternal fire, the innkeeper said in horror, looking at the molten Doppler. If someone looks in and sees it, it'll look bad. If we aren't to call the guard, then... Witcher, sir, if it really is a Vexling, tell it to change it to something decent, as a disguise, like, just for now. That's right, Dainty said. Have him change into something, Geralt. Into whom? The Doppler suddenly gurgled. I can only take on a form I've had a good look at. Which of you shall I turn into? Not me, the innkeeper said hurriedly. Nor me, Dandelion snorted. Anyway, it wouldn't be any disguise. Everybody knows me, so the sight of two dandelions at one table would cause a bigger sensation than the one here in person.
It would be the same with me, Geralt smiled. That leaves you, Dainty. And it's turned out well. Don't be offended, but you know yourself that people have difficulty distinguishing one halfling from another.
The merchant did not ponder this for long. Very well, he said. Let it be. Take the chain off him, Witcher. Right then. Turn yourself into me, O intelligent race. After the chain had been removed, the Doppler rubbed its doughy hands together, felt its nose, and stared goggle-eyed at the halfling. The sagging skin on its face tightened up and acquired colour. Its nose shrank and drew in with a dull squelching sound, and curly hair sprouted on its bald pate. Now it was Dainty's turn to goggle. The innkeeper opened his mouth in mute astonishment, and Dandelion heaved a sigh and groaned. The last thing to change was the colour of its eyes. The second dainty Beavervelt cleared its throat, reached across the table, seized the first dainty Beavervelt's beer mug, and greedily pressed it to its mouth. It can't be. It can't be, Dandelion said softly. Just look. Oh, so Dandelion. It can't be. It can't be, Dandelion said softly. Just look, he's been copied exactly. They're indistinguishable, down to the last detail. This time, even the mosquito bites and stains on its breeches. Yes, on its breeches, Geralt. Not even sorcerers can manage that. Feel it, it's real wool, that's no illusion. Extraordinary. How does it do it?
No one knows,
the Witcher muttered.
It doesn't either. I said it has the complete ability for the free transformation of material structure, but it is an organic, intrinsic ability.
But the breeches? What has it made the breeches out of? And the waistcoat?
That's its own adapted skin. I don't think it'd be happy to give up those trousers. Anyway, they'd immediately lose the property of wool.
Pity, Dainty said, showing cunning, because I was just wondering whether to make it change a bucket of matter into a bucket of gold. The Doppler, now a faithful copy of the halfling, lounged comfortably and grinned broadly, clearly glad to be the centre of interest. It was sitting in an identical pose to Dainty, swinging its hairy feet the same way. You know plenty about Dopplers, Geralt, it said, then took a swig from the mug, smacked its lips, and belched. Plenty indeed. Egots. Its voice and mannerisms are also Beavervelt's, Dandelion said. Haven't any of you got a bit of red silk thread? We ought to mark it, damn it, because there might be trouble. Come on, Dandelion, the first dainty Beavervelt said indignantly. Surely you won't mistake it for me. The differences are clear at first glance. The second dainty Beavervelt completed the sentence, and belched again gracefully. Indeed, in order to be mistaken, you'd have to be more stupid than a mare's ass. Didn't I say? Dandelion whispered in amazement. It thinks and talks like Beavervelt. They're indistinguishable. An exaggeration, the halfling said, pouting. A gross exaggeration.
No, Geralt rebutted. It's not an exaggeration. Believe it or not, but at this moment it is you, Dainty. In some unknown way, the Doppler also precisely copies its victim's mentality.
Mental what?
The mind's properties, the character, feelings, thoughts, the soul, which would confirm that most sorcerers and all priests would deny, that the soul is also matter.
Blasphemy! The innkeeper cried. And poppycock, Dainty Beavervelt said firmly. Don't tell stories, Witcher. The mind's properties I like. Copying someone's nose and breeches is one thing, but someone's mind is no bloody mean feat. I'll prove it to you now. If that lousy Doppler has copied my merchant's mind, he wouldn't have sold the horses in Novigrad, where there's no market for them. He would have ridden them to the horse fair in Devil's Ford, where they're sold to the highest bidder. You don't lose money there. Well, actually, you do. The Doppler imitated the halfling's offended expression and snorted characteristically. First of all, the prices at the auctions in Devil's Forge are coming down because the merchants are fixing the bidding. In addition, you have to pay the auctioneer's commission. Don't teach me how to trade, you prat, Beaverville said indignantly. I would have taken 90 or 100 apiece in Devil's Ford. And how much did you get off those Novigradian chances? 130, the Doppler replied. You lying! You rascal! I am not. I drove the horses straight to the port, sir, and found a foreign fur trader. Furriers don't use oxen when they assemble their caravans because oxen are too slow. Furs are light but costly, so one needs to travel swiftly. There's no market for horses in Novigrad, so neither are there any horses. I had the only ones available, so I could name the price. Simple. Don't teach me, I said, Dainty yelled, flushing red. Very well. You made a killing. So where's the money? I reinvested it, Telego said proudly, imitating the halfling's typical raking of his fingers through his thick mop of hair. Money, Mr. Dainty, has to circulate. And business has to be kept moving. Be careful I don't wring your neck. Tell me what you did with the cash you made on the horses. I told you. I sank it into goods. What goods? What did you buy, you freak? Oh, cochineal. The Doppler stuttered a second, and then enumerated quickly. 1,000 bushels of cochineal, 6,200 weight of mimosa bark, 55 gallons of rose oil, 23 barrels of cod liver oil, 600 earthenware bowls, and 80 pounds of beeswax. I thought the cod liver oil very cheaply, incidentally, because it was a little rancid. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. I also bought 100 cubits of cotton string. A long, very long silence fell. Cod liver oil, Dainty finally said, enunciating each word very slowly. Cotton string. Rose oil. I must be dreaming. Yes, it's a nightmare. You can buy anything in Novigrad, every precious and everyday thing, and this moron here spends my money on shit. Pretending to be me. I'm finished. My money's lost. My merchant's reputation is lost. No, I've had enough of this. Lend me your sword, Geralt. I'll cut him to shreds here and now. The door to the chamber creaked open. The merchant Beavervelt! Crowned an individual in a purple toga which hung on his emaciated frame as though on a stick. He had a hat on his head shaped like an upturned chamber pot. Is the merchant Beavervelt here? Yes, the two halflings answered in unison. The next moment, one of the dainty Beavervelts flung the contents of the mug in the witch's face, deftly kicked the stool from under Dandelion, and slipped under the table towards the door, knocking over the individual and the ridiculous hat on the way. Fire! Help! It yelled, rushing out towards the common chamber. Murder! Calamity! Geralt, shaking off the Bearthroff, rushed after him, but the second Beavervelt, who was also tearing towards the door, slipped on the sawdust and fell in front of him. The two of them fell over, right on the threshold. Dandelion, clambering out from under the table, cursed hideously. Assault! Yelled the skinny individual, entangled in his purple toga from the floor. Robbery! Criminals! Geralt rolled over the halfling and rushed into the main chamber to see the Doppler jostling the drinkers, running out into the street. He rushed after him, only to run into a resilient but hard wall of men barring his way. He managed to knock one of them over, smeared with clay and stinking of beer, but others held him fast in the iron grip of powerful hands. He fought furiously, but heard the dry report of snapping thread and rending leather, and the sleeve became loose under his right armpit. The Witcher swore and stopped struggling. We have him! The masons yelled. We've got the robber! What do we do now, master? Lime! The master bellowed, raising his head from the table and looking around with unseeing eyes. Guard! The purple one yelled, crawling from the chamber on all fours. An official has been assaulted! Guard! It will be the gallows for you, villain! We have him! The mason shouted. We have him, sir! That's not him! The individual in the toga bellowed. Catch the scoundrel! After him! Who? Beaverveld, the halfling! After him! Give chase to the dungeons with him! Hold on a moment, Dainty said, emerging from the snug. What's it all about, Mr. Swan? Don't drag my name through the mud. And don't sound the alarm, there's no need. Swan was silent and looked at the halfling in astonishment. Dandelion emerged from the chamber, bonnet at an angle, examining his loot. The masons, whispering among themselves, finally released Geralt. The Witcher, although absolutely furious, limited himself to spitting copiously on the floor. Merchant Beaverveld, Swan crowned, narrowing his myopic eyes. What is the meaning of this? An assault on a municipal official may cost you dearly. Who was that? That halfling who vaulted? My cousin, Dainty said quickly. A distant cousin. Yes, Dandelion agreed, swiftly backing him up and feeling in his element. Beavervelt's distant cousin, known as Nutcase Beavervelt, the black sheep of the family. When he was a child, he fell into a well, a dried up well. But unfortunately, the pail hit him directly on his head. He's usually peaceful. It's just that the colour purple infuriates him. But there's nothing to worry about because he's calmed by the sight of red hairs on a lady's loins. That's why he's rushed straight to the Passiflora. I tell you, Mr. Swan.
That's enough, Dandelion, the Witcher hissed. Shut up, damn it.
Swan pulled his toga up, brushed the sawdust off it, and straightened up, assuming a hoity air. Now then, he said, heed your relatives more attentively, Merchant Beavervelt, because as you well know, you are responsible. Were I to lodge a complaint, but I cannot afford the time. I am here, Beavervelt, on official business. On behalf of the municipal authorities, I summon you to pay tax. Eh? Tax, the official repeated, and pouted his lips in a grimace, probably copied from something much more important. What are you doing? Been in fetched by your cousin? If you make a profit, you'll have to pay taxes, or you'll have to do time in the dungeon. Me? Dainty roared. Me? Make a profit? All I have is losses, for fuck's sake. Careful, Beavervelt, the Witcher hissed, while Dandelion kicked the halfling furtively in his hairy shin. The halfling coughed. Of course, he said, struggling to put a smile on his chubby face. Of course, Mr. Swan, if you make a profit, you have to pay taxes. High profits. High taxes. And the other way around, I'd say. It is not for me to judge your business, sir, the official said, making a sour face. He sat down at the table, removing from the fathomless depths of his toga an abacus and a scroll of parchment which he unrolled at the table, first wiping it with the sleeve. It is my job to count up and collect. Now then, let's see. Let us reckon this up. That'll be... that's 2 down. Carry the 1. Now then... 1,553 crowns and 20 pennies. A hushed escaped Dainty Beavervelt's lips. The masons muttered in astonishment. The innkeeper dropped the bowl. Dandelion gasped. Very well. Goodbye, lads, the halfling said bitterly. If anyone asks, I'm in the jail. And that was chapter 1 of A Tale of the Witcher from the collection Sword of Destiny from Eternal Flame. And I'll leave it there and return to more chapters when Soph is awake or when further goals are reached. Thank you all for listening.
That was a beautiful delivery. Thank you so much.
That was so good.
Thank you. I had distinct pleasure reading that.
In
I really hope that's Natalie sending Soph a clap messages because Sophie should be sleeping.
Oh.
Thank you for clarifying. I was very worried there. Oh,
That was so good. I literally curled up into bed. I'm genuinely serious. I took my laptop, I sat it down, and I took a
I
blanket.
wish
and
I could have curled up in bed for that. That was so good.
Same. I due to some of the medications I have that have a drowsiness side effect,